Hello and welcome to this edition of Temple Athletics. I'm Christian Reilly, and we are here to give you an inside look at Temple's Division I athletics programs. Joining us in the studio today will be women's rowing head coach Rebecca Smith-Grabowski and senior captains Amy Meisner and Lamy Papalo. Joining us now is head coach Rebecca Grabowski. Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Christian.
So, Coach, let's get started here. You graduated from Holy Cross in 2002, where you were a two-time captain and a first-team All-New England selection in 2002, and helped the Crusaders to 3 consecutive Patriot League Challenge titles, among many other awards. So your accomplishments are well documented, which leads me to begin with, who or what motivated you to start rowing as a young kid?
That's a great question. I was actually a runner. I was a basketball player in middle school, if you could call it that. Turned into a runner in high school, distance running, cross country, and indoor-outdoor track. And then got to college and always wanted to continue being an athlete, but I was not D1 track material. So I, explored some options. I actually had a pediatrician who was a rower. His kids rowed at Yale, and he suggested, you're tall, you're pretty tall, you're athletic looking. And so I got to college deciding I wanted to walk onto the rowing team. So I looked for signs and went to the interest meeting and walked on as a freshman. So.
Which leads me to my next question. So you were a walk-on during your time at Holy Cross, and considering the fact that there are a lot of walk-ons here at Temple on the rowing team, how do your experiences relate to them, and do you share any of your, personal experiences with them in terms of, everybody likes to talk down on walk-ons compared to scholarship players, but what is your input on that?
Yeah, walk-ons are a huge part of the lifeblood of our team. Every year we probably have about 20 women who have never touched an oar until they got to Temple, and we find them on campus during Welcome Week. We find them, we send postcards, they see flyers, they get in touch with us. This year we actually had a record number. We had 160 women who came to our walk-on tryout meeting, and so we start tryouts next week. Hopefully we get a good number of them, probably close to 100 who show up. But to me, they're a huge part of the team, and we tell them that from day one. I share my experience of walking on, having a great college experience, training afterwards with the national team, and but you can take it as far as you want to go. It's a unique sport.
So your first time walking on, did you feel any sort of intimidation your first time going to a practice as a freshman?
Yeah, they did a really good job at Holy Cross, and I think we do a really good job here of integrating the walk-ons, teaching you the basics from the very beginning. And we like to remind everyone that at some point, everyone on the team was exactly where they were, whether you were a 14-year-old high school freshman learning to row, or whether you're an 18-year-old college freshman learning to row. It's the same thing, and everybody's really supportive, and we recognize the value that they bring. So we're excited to see them succeed.
So before arriving at Temple, you were an assistant at Bucknell from 2009-2010 season, working with the varsity fours. And then you were designated head coach the year after, so for the Bison lightweight squad. So what was the feeling of being named the head coach for the very first time, and how did you really feel about that?
It was a great step for me as a young coach getting back into collegiate coaching, and so to be able to sort of take a larger squad and run everything, the training program, and bringing them along and seeing some really good success that year. It was great practice because it was still sort of under the umbrella of the whole Bucknell women's team. So it was a good chance to test out head coaching skills, but still have the support of a full staff behind me.
How much more is there preparation in terms of from the assistant coach to the head coach? Is there a lot more that goes into?
I think I'm still learning. I'm sure every head coach is still learning on a daily basis, but it's definitely a lot more. There's more administrative side of it. Everyone gets into coaching because it's fun to coach, and you love our sport, and it's great to help athletes develop. But there's definitely more of the administrative side that I think you learn. It's almost like a trial by fire. You get in and you realize how much more there is, and I don't think you can really comprehend it until you're sitting in that head coaching role. But thankfully, I have some really great support staff, and then I also have some really great mentors that have been helping me along the way. So
did you always get the feel that you always wanted to be a head coach after your playing days?
Yes, I think I did, actually. It was the one job. I kind of fell into college coaching through my college coach. I graduated. I wanted to keep training, actually, and try to make a national team. And at the same time, he was looking for a coach, and I think he saw something in me that I didn't even realize was there, which to me is the value of a collegiate coach. Sometimes you see what athletes don't even necessarily see in themselves, and you help bring it out. And so he brought the coaching out in me, I did it for 2 years at Holy Cross while I was learning how to train at a high level, and it just never felt like a job to me. It always just felt like it fit, and so I kind of knew that I'd found something that was a really, really good thing, and I knew that I would eventually get back to coaching at some point.
Are you tough on your players at all?
When I need to be. I think that's, as all good coaches are, you got to hold them accountable, and we set the bar really high. That's our job, and to set the bar high and help them achieve it. And we're really pleased every time we continue to set the bar higher every year, and they respond in a really positive way every time. And so it's been great.
So you're going into your 3rd season as the head coach here at Temple. Last season, you led your team to a 4th place finish at the American Conference Championships, with the varsity 4 earning a bronze medal, which from what I understand was the first medal, NCAA medal that you guys earned.
Yep.
So what are the expectations for this upcoming season?
Definitely to keep stepping it up. Like we said, keep raising the bar, keep stepping up our game. Expecting more medals at the NCAA level. The NCAA events are the varsity 8, the second varsity 8, and the varsity 4. So medaling in the varsity 4 was a big first step, and so we need to continue. We got to get the second varsity 8 and the first varsity 8 onto the medal stand this year. That's a big goal, and I think it's 100% doable. So we're excited.
Do you expect any of the walk-ons to medal at all, or expect them to just come in and contribute right away?
Absolutely. It's exciting. Our boat last year, our freshman boat that won, our novice boat that won Dadville for the first time in program history, 7 of the 9 women in that boat had never touched an oar until they got to Temple last year. And so it's really fun to see what you can do with walk-ons. Now the team has seen what walk-ons can do and how valuable they are. And we absolutely expect our walk-ons to contribute.
That's very interesting. So for the viewers that don't really know, how quick is it to pick up rowing, or is it difficult at all to really get it started?
Yeah, it's challenge. I say it's not like going from walking to jogging to running to sprinting, where it's something you do already. It's kind of an awkward motion, so we look for athletes really, and people with good body awareness, people that are willing to work hard. It's a grind of a sport. It's repetitive. It's mentally challenging. It's physically hard. So you just need people that are excited about the teamwork aspect and want to get better. So it's a challenge for sure, but if you have the right attitude and you have the right ability, we can teach you everything you need to know.
So you've spent the past few years here in Philadelphia. Do you now consider it your second home? I know you're from Massachusetts.
Yeah, I grew up in the New England area. I would consider it home now. Actually, my parents just left New England, so there's not a whole lot there. I mean, I'll always be a New Englander at heart, but Philly is definitely home now.
Do you have any I know you had significant ties here before you were the head coach here at Temple. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I moved down after college. I learned to coach, like I said, up at Holy Cross, and learned to train at the elite level and wanted to make the national team. And at the time, most of the elite level women were training down in Philadelphia. So I moved down to Philadelphia to train out of Boathouse Row, had an amazing experience, and actually went to World Championships, met some incredible people. And along the way, I actually met my now husband. We were dating at the time, and so he grew up in the Roxborough area. He's a Philadelphia native, so I always had kind of a feeling we'd end up back here.
Very, very cool. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back here on Temple Athletics Show. More on the women's rowing team. We'll be right back. We're back here on Temple Athletics with Coach Grabowski. And so, Coach, you mentioned earlier that you have a tremendous amount of appreciation for Boathouse Row. So how big of an impact has that had on your career as an athlete and as a coach, really?
Oh, it's been huge. I mean, it's a really unique community. It's full of people that love and support rowing and want to see you succeed. So I think a lot of my success as an elite athlete was from the support that I got from being challenged by teammates down there, from being coached by an amazing amount of very talented coaches on Boathouse Row. And so then the other fun thing is you've got other colleges that are down there as well. And so it creates a really great, unique rivalry. You know, you're out there training with Olympians, with, world championship medalists, with high school novices. So it's a really kind of unique training environment, and it's had a pretty impressive, I would say.
So that must be really
impact.
Good exposure to your players as well.
Yeah, it's a great sell, and obviously it's iconic, and everyone in Philadelphia knows rowing, and we're very fortunate about that, to have not just the Boathouse Row community support, but also the whole city. It's a really unique and fun place to row.
So over the summer, the big news broke that there was going to be a new boathouse renovation coming in the summer of 2016.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about that, and how much of an impact will that have on building this program from maybe the middle of the pack to the
Yeah.
very top of the premier
Yeah.
programs in the country?
I could talk about that for days. We're so excited about that. It's a huge benefit to us. We're so grateful, obviously, to the city, to the university, that department, and Jerry Lenfest was the Lenfest Foundation was a huge contributor to making that a reality for us. So construction has started. They started this summer. They're estimating we'll actually be in the boathouse by the spring season. So middle of the spring season, we should be rowing out of there, and then fully completed. The project should be completely done by next summer. So it'll be huge for us from a recruiting standpoint, from a comfort standpoint, from a just a daily operations standpoint. We're really excited and really grateful.
So this summer you also had the opportunity to work out with the cross country team. Tell me a little bit about that. What was the experience from your players interacting with the cross country team's players, and how did they get along? And tell me a little bit about that.
It was great. We said two endurance sports, just kind of helping each other along. They were here for preseason, and we talked with their coach, Coach James Snyder, and he said, I think a really unique team building, getting to know you activity for us would be learning how to row, and I was all about it. The team was really excited to help. So we brought them down on the river, talked them through everything we do, and I have to say they picked it up really quickly. Again, back to being athletes and learning and knowing your body, they were very receptive, and they did a great job. So it was a really fun day for everybody.
So obviously as a head coach, you have a busy schedule. There's a lot on your plate in terms of what your responsibilities are, but what is your relationship like amongst the other Temple Athletics head coaches?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I think it just kind of is a reflection of the entire Temple Athletics community. Everybody's striving to be a championship caliber team, and so we support each other, and we know we're each dealing with unique challenges, sport specific challenges, but at the end of the day we're all trying to make Temple proud and make Temple look good and represent this university to the best of our ability. So that's a common bond, and we all support each other, so it's fun.
So back to your team, with such a large roster of like 50 players from what I understand, is it really hard to evaluate each and every single player? Now I know there's assistant coaches helping out and all that, but it still has to be difficult evaluating 50 players on a roster.
Yeah, it's a unique challenge. Again, you're right. With the assistant coaches, they do a great job of helping out, and we track everything. So starting from, like I said earlier, we were talking about evaluations this week. So we have a master document that tracks everything we've ever done results-wise. So we get a pretty good idea. We have documentation on some athletes for almost 4 years now. So we have a pretty good idea on what you're capable of, how far they've come, the progress that we're seeing, and so by the time we have to make some decisions on lineups, we have a really good handle on where everybody stands and how they contribute to the team.
So, and what goes into those decisions, making out the lineup and things like that?
Yeah, things like sometimes it's as simple as what side do you row, if you're or on your right side or your left side, your port or your starboard. A lot of it is an erg score, so we use the rowing machines, the ergometers. So we test those pretty regularly throughout the year. So it's about how much power you can produce. It's a pretty hard, fast number, which is helpful for us in the evaluation process. Attitude, work ethic, what's going on in the weight room, it all kind of comes into play. And at the end of the day, there's also that bit of chemistry and team dynamic that's really important to making a boat go fast. So it's a little bit of everything.
That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
So for the viewers that don't really know too much about rowing, what are the different kinds of boats and what goes into all that?
Yeah, so in D1 collegiate women's rowing, we typically row 8-person boats or fours, 8s or 4s. The title is a little deceiving because an 8-person boat has 8 rowers and a coxswain, so there are actually 9 people. Same with the 4 rowers and a coxswain, so 5 people total. And then we have it divided by your varsity 8, which is your top 8 rowers and your top coxswain, and then your second varsity 8 is rowers 9 through 16, your second best coxswain typically, and then your varsity 4 goes down from there, rowers 17 to 20. So it's typically an NCAA squad is about 20 women.
Wow, that's very interesting. I didn't know that it would be that many players, but anyway. Yeah. So you have 10 seniors on the team this year. How important are they going to be to mentoring the younger women on the team, especially those that are walk-ons?
Right. The walk-on population is important. We also brought in 11 freshmen, so we've got a lot of young talent on the front end of the team, and then a lot of really good leadership on the back end. So I'm really excited. We've been, like I said, practicing for about a week now, but the vibe is great. The energy has been awesome. They're setting a really good tone from the top down, and the freshmen are really responding and buying in. You can see it from day one. So it's really exciting, and it's fun to see that relationship relationships start to develop.
Now, do they start developing those relationships over the summer? Like, how early does that start prior to the season?
Yeah, I would say even back to when the freshmen came on for official visits, that relationship starts to build. You know, they stay with current members of the team, so they get to know each other. A lot of times they become friends before they even get here. So, so it's really important for us to bring in people that understand our culture and what we're trying to build and that are excited about it. So it starts at the official visit, you know, when they come to campus as high school seniors, and then it builds throughout the summer, and now they're here and they're fully integrated, which is fun to see.
So what is the winning culture here that you're trying to build for your program?
Yeah, that's a great question. We talk a lot about making choices, the fact that we choose this lifestyle and it's got sacrifices that come with it and it's got responsibilities that come with it, but it's a conscious choice, and every day you're making choices that get you closer and closer to your goal. So we're trying to be really competitive with ourselves, really competitive with each other, and then at the end of the day, really competitive with people we line up against.
So last question, what was the decision factoring into naming the two captains, Lily and Amy?
That was actually, we vote. I mean, we have a team vote. We talk a lot about leadership. We had a session where we kind of all tossed around what ideals leaders have for us and what that means to the team individually. And then, we reflected on who on the team represents a lot of those characteristics. And Lily and Amy were two very obvious choices at the end of the day, and we're excited to see what they can do.
That is awesome. So that is it here with Temple Athletics head coach Rebecca Grabowski. I'm Christian Reilly. Thank you very much for your time.
There I am. Cool.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
You have the mic on.
Oh yeah, don't stand up. All right.
And we're back here on Temple Athletics. I'm here with senior captains Amy Meissner and Lily Papaleo. So how's your semester going, guys?
Well, it's senior year, so for me, I'm trying to get my last hard classes out of the way this semester, but you know, it's starting off strong.
That's very exciting, senior year. So do you have any plans? What's your major for both of you?
I'm a media studies and production major.
Cool.
And I'm strategic communication, and my concentration is organizational leadership.
Okay, so you both spend a lot of time in Annenberg,
Yeah.
like myself. So very cool, very cool. So let me begin with, what does Coach preach to you guys about the importance of maintaining that balance between the heavy workload in the classroom and then obviously spending a lot of hours practicing?
Well, she is a big. She focuses a lot on being a student athlete. So student comes first. She's really big on us getting all our study hall hours in. It's a lot of work, but that is the path we have chosen, is a phrase she uses a lot.
Right, so those that don't really understand, take me through a daily schedule of a student athlete. Obviously by now you're going into your fourth year doing it, so do you have a routine in terms of waking up and having that busy schedule, but is it a challenge, balancing all of that workload?
It's a challenge, of course, but it's a challenge that you are prepared to accept. You know going into it what you're going to do. So this morning we had lift at 7 a.m., then, have a quick breakfast, go to class, do an interview, day in the life. And then we have another practice at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And so our practice schedule remains very consistent throughout the week. So it's not like we have a practice at 4 p.m. one day and 2 p.m. the next. It's very consistent, and you plan your schedule around that. And then you just try and get all your homework done at night after dinner.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long do practices usually take? Take me through that.
Well, our practice hours are 4 to 6:30.
Okay.
We usually do we exercise for probably an hour and a half of that, and then the rest of it is just getting boats out, putting boats away, just equipment kind of stuff, and then talking with your team. And then there's also travel time with that. So we leave campus at 4. We get there around 4:15, sometimes 4:30. The bus is late, traffic, whatever. So really, it's more 4 to 7 sometimes, but that's generally the plan.
So Coach was telling me earlier that she knows when she needs to get hard on you guys. So tell me what it's like when coaches really need your attention and really need you to focus.
It's kind of scary because it doesn't happen a lot, which is good. But I don't know. Sometimes you're in the middle of the semester, things start to slip, like whether it's like a uniform thing at lift or just like, I don't know, little things like someone, like last year we left a set of oars on the dock at the end of the day, which is kind of a huge deal because we literally need, like we can't row without the oars. So like that was one of the things where she just kind of like gave us a stern talking to, and then we kind of got back into shape after that.
So how did you both get started with rowing as a young kid growing up? Who or what motivated you to start rowing?
Well, I walked on the team when I was a sophomore here. So I hadn't rowed before ever, but they were doing a big push for walk-ons, and I thought that was something I'd be interested in. And it was a long process, did a lot of practicing, learning how to row, learning how to use the rowing machines, but it was well worth it, I'd say.
I started rowing when I was like 14 years old. I started in high school as a freshman, and it's really funny because I didn't want to like play sports in high school because I thought it would be too competitive, and now here I am, a Division I athlete, and but
kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and so like one of my friends in my class was talking about how she was trying this rowing thing, and I was like, I want upper body strength, I'll do that. And then the first practice, I was like, I like this a lot, and I've just stuck with it. So
what are the mental and physical challenges when it comes to rowing and when it comes to just competitions in general?
There's a lot.
Yes. It's a lot of endurance based. So obviously endurance, you have to get your cardio base up. You have to be physically strong enough to handle that. But a lot of the time we'll work out on the rowing machines. We'll have hour to 90-minute workouts. And it's just a lot of mental, you're going through the same motion over and over again. And you just, have to really stay focused for a long period of time. And it's difficult sometimes, but with practice, it gets a lot easier.
And you like the mental aspect of it comes down to a lot of like wanting it more than the person in the other boat, like sitting in your seat or like in another boat. So like that's something that we talk about a lot. Like when it gets down to like sometimes races are won by like less than a second, and so that really comes down to like, did that one person want it more than you? So that's something that we talk about a lot, is just like really wanting it more than anyone else.
So your first race is October 10th at the Navy Day Regatta at the Schuylkill. So how are you and your teammates preparing for the game? I mean, think about it, it's going to be here before you know it, about a month away. So how are you getting ready for the race, and how are you really getting the younger freshmen that are just walking onto the team, how are you getting them prepared for a race that's about a month away?
Well, I think we're in a lot better place than we have been in the past starting off, because we're still in our like testing. We have 2 weeks of like physical fitness tests basically, and then we get out on the water and we start doing technique. And a lot of with the freshmen is just getting them to row the way that we row. And we have a lot of potential. Like this year's recruiting class was very strong, so that's like great for us. So it's like there's a little less work that we have to do than normal, but a lot of it is just like, I think usually like in the past we've done it just in mixed lineups, so like varying skill levels, just trying to get everyone kind of on the same page.
So do you know which teams will be competing that day on October 10th? Do you know any of those details yet, or?
I don't
no, we're not too sure yet, because like you said, it is a month off, and we're still doing a lot of fitness evaluations, seeing where everyone's going to be in what boat and things of that sort. So that'll be coming up within the next couple weeks, but mostly just trying to get everyone to be on the same page in terms of the way we row, and that'll make it a lot easier for us to be able to have lineups, because you can kind of throw anyone anywhere.
Right. So around that time, it's going to be right when homecoming is for the football team.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you want your fellow student or the student body to come out and support the rowing team?
Any attention is appreciated.
We will do our best to get that attention out there.
I mean, like, Philly's a really big rowing city, but rowing is not the most fun spectator sport. I don't, like, it's like you just watch boats go past. Like, it's really interesting for me because I know everything and care about it and, like, all that stuff. But, like, for, like, the average person, it's just kind of like, oh, cool, yay. Like, but, like, we're lucky in Philly. Like, we have, like, the grandstands by Columbia Bridge on Kelly Drive. So that's, like, a great place to go. And you can just spend your day there, do whatever. Like, come stop by. And, like, the temple tents are pretty noticeable by St. Joe's Boathouse. So, like, just kind of
So this summer, you guys got to work out with the cross country team. Tell me about how that experience was, and do you have any friends on the cross country team, and are there any similarities in terms of the workouts?
So cross country is an endurance sport, much like rowing is. And so in terms of a cardio base, we actually have a girl on the team who was a former cross country member. And so the cardio base is there. It's just, it's an awkward movement, but it's fun to be able to kind of take a step back and remember when people are learning to row, remember what that felt like when we were learning to row. And I think it's something we can all appreciate because it is very strange when you first get into it. And it's nice to share your sport with someone else. If it's something that you care about so much, it's nice to share that with other people.
Well, we're just about out of time. Ladies, thank you very much for your time. Best of luck this season in your senior year and your future endeavors as well. Thank you very much. We are concluding here on Temple Athletics. I'm Christian Reilly. So